Good morning. My name is Paul Dalzell. I am the worship coordinator of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charleston. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome all of you, our members, our friends, and this is not anyone's first time here, but we welcome you and thank you for joining us. Here you will find a community of people, all very different, yet all united in the shared values of justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, all with love at the center, who will help you find what you are looking for this morning, and I hope in your lives. Many of us have found just that here in Unitarian Universalism. Please join us in singing our welcome song. Please check the insert in your order of service for goings on here at UUC this coming week and in the near future. We do have a few announcements that we'd like to share. First, unfortunately, due to an incident yesterday, our intranet is down. Literally down. The wire is in the bushes outside. So today's service will not be streamed on Zoom, nor, unfortunately, will we be able to use the screens. We are able to record still, and will eventually be able to post it on YouTube. Witchy Weekend was wildly successful again this year. Really good. Phoenix organized it so well that even when some problems occurred, like rain preventing the popular fire twirling event, musicians canceling at the last minute, or the internet going down, it was still fun for all. By giving our friends in this community a space to be themselves, to conduct their rituals, to share their lessons, and to be with other like-minded folk, by supporting them and making them feel welcome, because they are, we are truly living out our shared value of plurality and our third and fourth principles. And it helped us too. It was a fundraising event. I don't have the numbers, but a lot of people came and enjoyed themselves. Also, Kaleidoscope Collective is hosting a Friendsgiving potluck on November 14th at 7 p.m. Last week, someone asked me what Friendsgiving was. Friendsgiving is an informal Thanksgiving-themed meal shared with friends, often held a few days before the official holiday. It's a popular alternative for those who can't travel to see family or who simply want to celebrate with their chosen family. These gatherings are frequently potluck style and can include traditional Thanksgiving food as well as less conventional dishes. They will also be showing the movie Wicked during the potluck. You can bring a dish to share if you choose. It's not required, and all are welcome. And finally, I sincerely hope you can join us for my favorite UU event, Thanksgiving Dinner at UUC. It is at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, and we ask you to bring something, but won't tell you what to bring or what anyone else is bringing, or kick you out if you don't bring anything. Someone will cook a turkey. We collect $5 to reimburse them for the turkey and their effort, and we leave the rest up to the universe and chance, fate, if you will. We once did track all the sides, but several years ago, we, the UUC staff, decided that doing so did not produce a better meal, it just overworked and overstressed our staff. If we end up with 15 sides of mashed potatoes and no pie, we will have a great story for years to come. Our goal is to have a stress-free Thanksgiving dinner. Can you imagine such a thing? So bring your favorite side dish and don't stress at all. Just come, enjoy good food, good company, and relax. For our chalice lighting this morning, I'm going to break from our usual unison reading and read it to you. So settle in as Maria lights our chalice. This is Chalice Lighting, Invoking Thoreau by Ben Soleil. Let us hold quiet a moment now as we light our chalice. Henry David Thoreau wrote in his journal on February 2nd, 1841, "A child asked his father what became of the old moon, and he said it was cut up into stars. Consider the light, light out of darkness. Light begets light. The light which the God of Genesis brought out of the darkness is the light that became our world. Our sun's light, reflecting off our moon, is eclipsed, but then returns to us as our earth quietly moves out of its way. In our current scientific understanding of the origins of the universe, the light of everything that exploded from not quite nothing is the light that became the maybe everything of which we are barely a part. This light we now kindle here will become a light for each of us to carry forth as we find our way through the shadows on our path. Let us be grateful for the light in our lives, even as we honor the dark from which the light came. Now please rise in body, spirit. We come to this sanctuary, whether in person, but not virtually, to connect with our community. Thank you. Sharing our joys, our celebrations, our sorrows, our concerns, our peace, and our needs helps our community become closer and stronger. And that is the community we all need in these times. A couple of huge joys this week. Austin Jane Stone turned 5 on Thursday. And her father, Travis, celebrated his 10-year clean day. Also amazing. Witchy weekend, an expansive and welcoming community, thanks to volunteers, Phoenix, Sarah, Travis, Jamie, and whoever else I missed. Also, an appreciation for Mike Pushkin's constant advocacy and positive thinking and hard work. He was the guest on the discussion group this morning. And a joy that the weekend went great this week, and also got a really good blessing from it from the goddess. Concern for UUC's internet service, and also for all those who are hungry this month, and possibly for months to come. Please help when and how you can. For all these joys and sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, may we remember shared joy is multiplied and shared sadness is diminished. If you would, join me in reading in unison our covenant to each other by James Vila Blake. Love is the spirit of our faith, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our offering words today are once again a greater good for ourselves and our world by our former minister, Kayla Parker. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May this be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. And because I know Sarah loves her some John Prine, I did request anything by him for the service. Sam Hickman graciously agreed to perform Souvenirs for us this morning. Sam? Please relax in your chairs. Plant your feet on the floor. Square your shoulders. Feel free to close your eyes or unfocus them or gaze into our chalice flame. Breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is kind of a long one, so settle in for the moment. Settle into this space. Our meditation today is Hateful and Grateful by Sarah Stone, Paul Dalzell, and as a foreshadowing of next week's service, Artificial Intelligence. In Unitarian Universalism, we often seek to embrace a faith of deeds, not creeds, one that calls us to live fully in the complex tapestry of human experience. This means confronting the full spectrum of our emotions, even those we label as negative or challenging. When we reflect on what hate can mean, we are invited into a nuanced understanding that moves beyond simple cruelty or meanness. These destructive expressions of hate are certainly things to overcome. But what of the others? Hate might be resentment, a smoldering fire that tells us a boundary has been crossed or a need has gone unmet. It might be anger at injustice or unfairness, the righteous indignation that demands a better, more just world for all people. It might grow out of frustration, the raw human cry against barriers that keep us from flourishing. It might be protective rage, the fierce, uncompromising force that rises within us to defend the vulnerable, a manifestation of our deep commitment to life. And when we sit with these powerful, often uncomfortable emotions, we might come to a startling realization. This hatefulness can even mean love. The roots of our rage often spring from the wellspring of what we cherish. We do not feel protective rage for something we are indifferent to. We feel it because we love. The pain of injustice hits us hard because we love the idea of a just community. Our frustration with systematic barriers stems from a deep love for human potential. And we can be grateful for love. Love is the source, the current that runs beneath and through all of it. To feel love, even when it manifests as something as intense and difficult as hate born of love, is to be truly alive. It is to be connected to the world and to our own core values. When we think of other strong emotions we call negative, such as sadness, disappointment, fear, or even loneliness, we might understand that it's hard to be grateful for the feelings themselves. They hurt. They bring discomfort. But even they are better than feeling nothing at all. Numbness, apathy, indifference, those are the true spiritual barren grounds. To feel sadness is to have known joy. To feel disappointment is to have had hope. To feel fear is to value our safety and life. To feel loneliness is to yearn for connection. These emotions confirm our humanity, our capacity for depth and connection. They are proof that we are not islands, but beings woven into the great interconnected web of existence. Sometimes hate can come from despair or doubt, from insecurity or regret. These too are human. They are guideposts that point us toward what we need: hope in the face of despair, certainty in the face of doubt, security in the face of insecurity, and the wisdom to learn from regret. So let us embrace the full spectrum of our emotional lives. Let us be grateful for the capacity to feel deeply, for it is in this depth that we find our shared humanity, our purpose, and the challenging, beautiful path of a meaningful life. May we be present to it all and find grace in the journey. Gratitude doesn't mean denying hurt. It can mean growing just the same. When we decided to do this service, Sarah, with a little trepidation in her voice, said, "Are we doing a service together?" I know she hates public speaking, so I answered, "It might require a conversation, but really I just need your thoughts about it." So she sent me a literal brain dump, a bunch of quotes, thoughts, and feelings put into words over a couple days. And as I began writing this sermon, I Googled hateful and grateful. I found Tony Robbins. Acclaimed motivational speaker Tony Robbins says you can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. You can't be fearful and grateful simultaneously. So gratitude is the solution to both anger and fear. Sarah Stone says, gratitude and hate are both responses to caring deeply. Indifference is the opposite of both. And when I first said this out loud, that you can be both hateful and grateful. People looked at me like I just admitted to kicking puppies. But I meant it, because real gratitude isn't tidy. Tony Robbins used to walk through fire regularly as part of his for-profit motivational shows. Sarah Stone walked through the fire of addiction for years. Tony's net worth is reportedly $600 million. Sarah is able to pay her bills and put food on the table, usually, mostly. But when I read Tony's words, I hear blah, 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 and I think it must be nice to feel that way. He has made those millions by convincing people that they too could feel that way if they pay him and are grateful for the chance to do so. Thrive Global asked him in 2016, "What's the first thing you do when you get out of bed?" Tony Robbins said, "The very first thing I do is I go jump into 56-degree freezing water for a cold plunge. It's an ongoing discipline I've created for myself. I don't negotiate with my mind. I tell my mind what to do and it does it. Part of that is I developed this simple discipline because I don't feel like going in that water. And in fact, I have these cold plunges in all my homes. In all my homes." Sarah's told me many times about not being able to sleep because the baby was sick, and she was up all night puking in the bed. But she still goes to work. She still helps those who need it. She still manages to do all the things that need to be done by a working mom of 2 kids. When I asked Sarah the same question, she said, "Either feed the cats or pee, depending on my bladder, then make coffee." That's real life. When I told her about Tony's cold plunges, she said, "He's psycho." Discipline is not doing what you don't feel like doing. It's doing what you must do because you must. Cats and people are counting on you, so you do it. In my never humble opinion, Tony Robbins doesn't live in the real world. He lives in a world he has created after coming up with a long con to bilk people out of their money, as the super wealthy do. Sarah lives in a world of baby puke and dancing feet. "Hey, Mom, watch this," and found kittens and lost people who need compassion. So, of the two, a man who is grateful that people have given him enough money to have multiple homes, and someone who can, in her words, be grateful for progress while naming what's broken, who practices compassion that doesn't require perfection, someone who does community work, activism, and church life when she is tired, angry, and grateful all at once. I'm going to listen to the latter person. But the one who lived with every single nerve in her body feeling like it was on fire because of withdrawal, but is grateful she can feel it all. I guess some people may think Mr. Robbins is a great man. I'm sure he's one of them. But to me, greatness is not having hundreds of millions of dollars or lots of houses and cars and ex-wives, by the way, and stuff. To me, greatness is finding a little kitten on a busy intersection and caring for it and trying to find a loving home for it, and accepting the fact that your husband fell in love with it and that you have another cat now. Greatness is also caring for people where and when you find them, too. Being strong enough to practice tough love with them when that is what they need. It's learning skills to help those who are desperate, even when you are uncomfortable doing those things. Greatness is patiently helping older folks learn how to make their computers and phones do what they need them to. It's managing a bunch of rugged individualists who have more education, more money, and more years behind them, and making them feel cared for and cared about, because they are. It's also listening to and caring for those who might have dropped out of high school, those who have nothing, not even a decent pair of shoes sometimes, and making them feel like they are cared for, like they matter, because they are, because they do. I try to live by the first principle. I try, but I fail sometimes. But Sarah, when talking about a man who literally charged across a parking lot and angrily cussed her out, can say, he's acting out of fear. He's scared and lashing out. Here are some more Sarah-isms. We want to believe gratitude cancels hate, but in real life, emotions coexist. Gratitude doesn't mean denying hurt, but can mean growing just the same. You can be grateful for survival, but still angry at what caused the suffering. Similar to Tony Robbins, singer-songwriter El DeBarge, known for hits like Rhythm of the Night and Who's Holding Donna Now, is credited with saying, I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be stressed. But again, that makes a nice platitude. But I've been talking about the subject of this service this past week to various folks. And when I mentioned the Sarah quote, that you can be both hateful and grateful at the same time, people say, I like that. Why? Because it resonates with people. We feel it. The Robbins line, or even DeBarge's, sounds good. Looks good on paper, as they say. But I think many of us have felt both hateful and grateful at the same time before. It might have been a feeling of resentment or anger towards someone to whom you should feel grateful for, a parent or a loved one, for example. Again, from Sarah's brain dump, we like clean emotional categories. Happy, sad, love, hate, grateful, bitter. But our hearts don't work that way. You can be thankful for the lesson and still hate the way you learned it. Back in high school, I had a friend who lived just up the holler from me. He'd offer me a ride to the football game on Friday nights. And on the ride, I'd always check your run me home after the game too, right? We lived a good 25, 30 miles from town, from the high school. He'd always agree, sure, just meet me at the car. I'm not planning anything after the game. We'll head straight back. And then every time the car would be gone and he'd be nowhere to be found. I'd either have to hitchhike or call my dad to come get me. The next week at school, Danny would tell me he'd met a girl or that he'd hung out with some friends, something. Sorry, man, I just forgot, he'd say. Then a week or two later, he'd do it again. I learned not to trust Danny. Hitchhiking in Clay County late at night usually means walking 5 or 6 miles. I didn't enjoy that in the cold. I might have learned to never trust anyone ever again, that everyone will always let you down. But the lesson I took from that experience and many others was to try to always have a plan B. I am grateful for that lesson. It served me well over the years. But I did not enjoy learning it that way. So, what does all this have to do with Unitarian Universalism? Sarah says, how can we hold complexity in our church and world? How do we love people even when we're angry with them? We can be grateful for progress while naming what's broken. We can acknowledge feelings without letting them drive the bus. The core message, says Sarah, is that gratitude doesn't erase hard feelings. It expands the container that can hold them. Real gratitude can coexist with grief, anger, even rage. It says, I still see the good even though I'm hurting. Again, the opposite of gratitude isn't hate. It's numbness, apathy. Gratitude is the practice of noticing light without pretending there's no dark. If we apply these thoughts to our 7 principles, we see in the first principle the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Sarah says, even our ugly emotions deserve compassion. We may not care for those emotions like fear and resentment. We think of anger as a bad thing, something to be avoided. But those feelings are real. Shouldn't we be grateful we can feel? Even our ugly emotions deserve compassion. And from our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth, Sarah says, growth means facing the uncomfortable parts of ourselves. My guess is this comes straight from recovery. I don't think most people intentionally try to grow into better humans. We should, and this may be why Tony Robbins made millions, but those in recovery have to, with only their peers and sponsors to help them. The only way forward is through. All of us should, but they have to acknowledge the bad stuff they did to move past it. Growth means facing the uncomfortable parts of ourselves. The fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Sarah says, there is truth in both sides, love and resentment, grief and grace. Meaning we don't have to pretend our emotions fit neatly. Again, we see some emotions as good, some as bad. Some are positive, some are negative. Isn't that strange? They were all what we truly feel. Some make us very uncomfortable, though. I remember the first time I felt rage much clearer than the first time I felt gratitude. It was so strong. Remember my story from last week, though? Gratitude can feel just as strong. There's truth in both sides, love and resentment, grief and grace. Our emotions don't always fit neatly. And finally, Sarah says, we're taught that gratitude is supposed to scrub out our darker feelings. We make November gratitude lists and talk about choosing joy. But what if sometimes gratitude doesn't feel like a choice? What if it's the other half of heartbreak? I'm going to end this with a little prayer Sarah wrote. May we be grateful without pretending, angry without hardening, and human without apology. Thank you. I invite you to rise once again. And our closing words today are The Lifelong Goal by David Hicks McPherson. You may be seated. To wish for compassion, to pray for courage, to experience doubt, to bear sorrow, to strive for sureness. All these are qualities for which each of us should be grateful. But to feel a genuine fellowship for the whole human family, to act so that our empathy is evident wherever we go, that's the object. That's the lifelong goal. Recessional one more time as I extinguish the chalice, ending our time of worship